Okay, I think that the vintage watch market right now is in the best place ever. This is due to the fact that it's not a local phenomenon anymore. Some 25 years ago, it was just a local thing. It was all about Italy, Germany, a little bit of England, and some of Japan. Really into collecting watches. It was enough for a bad season, a slow summer for the stock market, or a change in the fashion over the winter to totally change the values in the market and make it collapse. Today, this is so spread out. The internet, the social media allows this kind of knowledge to reach so many people that it is a fact that that watch is worth that kind of money, and it is a fact that that watch is desirable, and it's known all over the world. This makes this market a very safe place because there's no local phenomenon that could impact negatively the market anymore at all. So the question is whether social media had an impact on the market. It did, and it does have an impact on the market every day. I witnessed the change over the years with internet and then all the social media just bringing the knowledge farther and farther away to people that just discover watches 20 years later after we did. And now Instagram changed the values of the watches over 2 seasons. Watches that were crazy expensive at $50,000 today are hard to find for $350,000, and there's buyers, new buyers coming in wanting to buy, making this, as I said, a very safe place, and this value is very real. New watches, honestly, I don't know. I would agree that it must have the same impact on the new watch market as well, but definitely works in a different way because the big companies always had made major investments in communication. The big difference is between the vintage and the new watch market, and this is why the social media is making such a big difference in our market, is that we never invested in communication. We barely knew what communication was. We were only about the watches. We were all professional collectors, so passionate about watches, we would travel miles and days just to meet and share what we knew. Whereas today, in a flash, knowledge is everywhere. Cartier, Rolex, they always knew that way before we did. They were advertising big time 60 years ago. So for them, internet only represented, social media only represented a new tool of something that they were already doing. For us, it's been a revolution. That's a difficult question. There's so many watches out there. But I would say that as iconic as ever, the Rolex Paul Newman is still the most desired watch that I could ever think of. Possibly another Rolex, the 6200 Submariner, is also another icon that represents the power and knowledge of the wealthy collector. My personal opinion, these two watches represent more of a concept through their probably most attractive models, but not necessarily. There's another world that embraces the concept of a different style, which could be best represented by Patek Philippe. The wise collector, the old school, will buy possibly more 1518 or 1463 by Patek Philippe than a Paul Newman. But I would say, as far as popular, Rolex, you can't beat that. I personally don't think there's going to be another Paul Newman, but there are many Paul Newmans. So the Paul Newman will always be the icon that it is today, and it's more and more desired, and it will always stand on its own. On the other hand, there's a bunch of other watches, especially in that same concept, the 1960s, 70s, especially Rolex. They're just as powerful in terms of image and colors and looks. We just don't notice them as much, but we eventually will. This is going to happen pretty shortly. You see prices going up every season. Sometimes we forget about the orange hand, or we forget about the 1016 for 6 months. But then a year later, they're 3 times the money. This is not going to stop. Well, of course, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell the future, but what I see is that auctions are indispensable to this market. We don't have, in our little world, we don't have a stock market. We only have the auctions to tell publicly and worldwide what's going on in our world. And I believe that the classic routine of the autumn and spring sales in Geneva, Hong Kong, and New York is also a good timekeeping written, for this market. I believe that the old school system that Christie's and Sotheby's, the traditional ways of doing the auctions, needs to be updated possibly. New auction houses are growing fast, using new technologies, less expenses for the buyers, faster services. The old system is getting a little bit too old. But they know better, and I believe that with a little investment in professionalism and knowledge, they could keep up with what we've been doing so far. If that happens, definitely auctions are still very important to us. And people will always look up to the auction results to know what's really worth what. Even if some auctions sometimes come up with crazy results, well, crazy stuff is part of this. And I believe that nobody's would be really happy to give up that kind of information. No, I don't believe too much technology is anything possible. Every time we thought of technology as too much, it was something old early enough. So I would keep looking forward to what's coming next, rather than how to keep going what was going on before. Okay, in the first place, most of the collectors of the early days are still collecting today. But the difference with a new collector, to me, stands mostly in the fact that the new collector has more knowledge, way more knowledge. He knows what he's talking about, and also most of the time, actually, more knowledge than the dealer himself. Also, the new collector doesn't take anything for granted. Back in the day, people used to buy incredible museum pieces, hold them for a few weeks or a couple of seasons, and then just give it up, sell it. Why did you sell that? Well, I don't know. I'll buy it again next year. I want to buy something else. Now people know that once you give up something, you will never have it again, at least not for the same price.